Hi, my name is Joanna Popper. I'm the global head of virtual reality for location-based entertainment at HP.
Okay, so Joanna, could you tell me a little bit about your role at HP?
At HP, I'm responsible for leading our initiatives around virtual reality with media and entertainment companies. So that includes production houses, production studios, location-based entertainment operators and venues, and lots of really great entrepreneurs and startups and content creators.
Okay, could you please give me an example of location-based entertainment?
Location-based entertainment is a term that's been around for a while. It really means anywhere that you are entertained out of your home. So it can be theme parks, cinemas, malls, arcades, standalone venues like family entertainment centers, even cruise lines.
Right. So you mentioned that the term has been in existence for a while. So how has that evolved, for location-based entertainment?
Sure. So location-based entertainment has always looked for how do we create exciting experiences for people that will drive them to leave their homes and go do something fun, in the venue. And they've often used the latest and greatest technology to achieve that. And today, some of the latest and greatest technology is virtual reality. So today, we're seeing more and more venues bringing virtual reality into their venues to drive additional traffic, to drive additional revenue, to create improved customer satisfaction, and really create innovative experiences for their customers.
Great. So yeah, I think because at this conference, we talk a lot about multicultural marketing. What implications does location-based entertainment have on multicultural marketing?
Relating location-based entertainment and virtual reality and multicultural marketing, there's a lot of interesting ways we can think about that. So for one, virtual reality tends to skew younger. So some of the people buying headsets or going to these experiences tend to be families with children. And a lot of them often are in urban areas right now. So in LA, we have probably 15 locations where you can do virtual reality in a location-based entertainment venue. San Francisco has quite a few. And so if you think about if you just think about the demographics of America today and younger audiences, multicultural audiences skew younger. So anytime you're going to be creating products or experiences that you want to skew younger, it's really important to be thinking about multicultural marketing. In a city like LA, a city like San Francisco, I think 40% of the market is Asian, right? In a city like LA, the Hispanic market is, I think, something like almost 50%, and then Asian market, the very, very, very large percentages. In a city like Los Angeles, the majority of the market is actually multicultural.
Right.
So, and it's particularly as you skew younger, the numbers go higher and higher. So if you're thinking about creating a venue and creating traffic in Los Angeles for younger audiences, thinking about multicultural audiences have to be the way that you're thinking about driving traffic.
Well,
So that's one way of looking at it. The other way is thinking about it from a global point of view. So there's at HP we're global. We sell into 130 countries. So in virtual reality, there's basically three big market segments right now: United States, Asia, and EMEA. And so Asia is a really, really strong market segment for us. So we are seeing a lot of location-based entertainment venues in China, in Korea, and in Japan. Those are three of the key markets. And what's interesting is in some cases you're seeing the companies that are formed in the US and started here, they're expanding into where the big markets, where they're seeing a lot of success for virtual reality. And so US companies are heading into China and Japan with their content. And then in other cases, you're seeing the reverse. So you see companies coming out of Hong Kong, companies coming out of Tokyo that are they've had success there with virtual reality content, and they're bringing it into the US. So it's a very global market right now.
Right. So could you please give me an example of the type of content that U.S. companies they are bringing to Asia, and vice versa? Asian companies that they're bringing to the US?
Yeah, so an example of a company that is bringing their content to Asia, there's a company called Spaces. They've done 3 locations so far, and they have many more locations that they're rolling out. The first location was actually in near LA, in a suburb called Irvine. The second location was in Tokyo, in the Sega's location called Joyopolis, and their content was Terminator. It's a Terminator adventure. You're inside the Terminator world. You're fighting for survival of the planet. They do 3D scan of your face, so you see yourself as part of it. And they brought that same content to Tokyo, and it's done very well there. And they're now rolling out in other places in Asia, as we speak. Then on the reverse side, you have a company like Sandbox VR. They started in Hong Kong, and they did all sorts of content. They had zombie fighting content. They had a Davy Jones experience. So they have they now just started to do, it's kind of like an MMA, like Ultimate Fighter experience. And so they started that in Hong Kong, and they've expanded into the US. And they just got a big fundraising round from Andreessen Horowitz, which is a very prestigious VC, and they're using that to expand further and deeper into the US.
Okay, so just with the examples that you shared with me, any opportunities that you see location-based entertainment or virtual reality in Asian marketing, in marketing to Asian Americans in the US?
That's an interesting question. So China so far has been one of the most robust markets for virtual reality. And so in China, we've already seen like a little bit of a boom and bust cycle there, where they have so many virtual reality places. Some have done well, some have done less well. But it was one of the first markets to explode, right? So I think in Korea, we're seeing a lot of experiences in Japan as well. So I think if you're looking to connect with audiences who have connection potentially back to their home country or back to their ancestral country, maybe their family's home country, making those ties between what is doing well there and what is on the forefront there and what's on the forefront here, there can be some connections there. The other thing that I think about is traditionally both Asian markets in the U.S., Asian Americans, traditionally the Asian American market in the U.S., Hispanic American market in the U.S. have tended to be early adopters of technology. And I actually worked at Telemundo for many years, and so I was very, very, very familiar with the trends around Hispanic Americans in particular. And we saw the Hispanic Americans over-indexed in all things technology. So all things around phone use, all things around social media, and they just were early adopters of anything technology. And some of it had to do with being skewed younger audiences, and some of it had to do, just to do with other preferences of the market. But both the two markets have tended to be early adopters of technology. And virtual reality is still very much in an early adopter phase. So we don't all have our own virtual reality headset. We don't all have our own smart glasses yet. That is the direction we're going to, but since we're in an early adopter phase, it would be multicultural markets that over-index in ownership of the technology today.
Right. So how do you see virtual reality and location-based entertainment transform our future in marketing?
So my belief, and this is the belief of many of the technology leaders in Silicon Valley and many of the technology, the biggest companies in Silicon Valley and throughout the world, is that immersive computing and virtual reality is the next phase in computing. So if you go back, we had a mainframe era, which HP was very integral in creating. Then we had a desktop and personal computer era. Today we're in the mobile phone era. We're always attached to our mobile phone, no matter what we do, no matter where we go. And the next era is going to be VR, virtual reality, augmented reality, immersive computing era. And so most experts in this field, most technologists and futurists in the field, believe that there will be a day that we have smart glasses that enable us to do a lot of what our phones do for us, plus much, much more. And so that will be our primary computing device. So we're still very early that transformation, but that's the direction that we're heading. And so when you say, what will that do for us? I mean, if basically the question is, what will a computer do for us in the future? And so it's like everything that your mobile phone does for you right now, plus all the things we haven't imagined yet or we haven't created yet or somebody is working on, a couple of great PhD students are working on, in a lab. And so if you think about it, going back when the first cell phones came out, like if you think about the movie Wall Street, and you had Gordon Gekko with this humongous phone, right? Which actually, if you put it on your face, it kind of looks like a virtual reality headset. And then you think from there, now we're on our, it's 11th generation of iPhone, right? So the gap, even, from the Gordon Gekko day to the first iPhone, to where we are today. At that point, you wouldn't have known that we would get all of our directions, our rides, our food, our dates, our entertainment, all from our cell phone, right? And just so now think about, we're still in that nascent early stage for virtual reality, and there's, the level of immersion that a VR experience provides, the level of interactivity it provides. There's a lot more to be created and a lot more to come.